everybody, and welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Sherry Hudson Passey from Carolina Girl Genealogy, and we have a fabulous panel and a wonderful group of special guests with us tonight. So we need to get started so y'all can hear from them. We've got Melissa Barker, the archive lady. Hi, Melissa.
Hello, everybody.
It is so good to have you here in your archive.
Glad to be here.
we have Shelley Murphy from the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks for being here, Family Tree Girl. And we've got Laura Hedgecock, and she's from Treasure Chest of Memories with her beautiful background behind us. Hello, Laura.
Hi, nice to be here.
Good to have you here. Dan Earl is back from his traveling around the country this summer. Hey, Dan.
Hey, glad to be back.
So good to have you back. Mary Kircher Roddy is doing two. She's
double duty.
She's double duty tonight. Not only is she our wonderful panelist from MKR Genealogy, but she's going to be part of our special guests too. And you'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. We've got Lisa Gorell, who is here with us tonight. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
So good to see you. And I should say Lisa Gorell CG, and Mary Kircher Roddy is a CG as well. And we've got Jill Morelli CG with us here tonight, because Mary and Lisa and Jill have started a wonderful new institute that we wanted to tell you all about. And so first of all, I've been told that Jill is going to give the elevator pitch for this new institute that they're calling AppGen. It's Applied Genealogy Institute. So take it away, Jill. Tell us all about it.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting all of us to be here today. We are very excited about this endeavor. So we think that we are filling a niche that is vacant at this point in time. The Applied Genealogy Institute is a virtual practicum-based institute composed of courses that will be taught where the student learns by doing. And if there's one kind of tagline that I want everybody to remember, is that learn by doing. We are very much oriented towards small classes, which allow instructor interaction with the students of all kinds, the experiential learning of actually doing exercises and being able to interact with students and with the instructors is really crucial to our whole piece here. We decided to start this because there was a fair amount of frustration with the first come, first serve approach to institutes that presently seem to be predominant. But it predominates with the other institutes because, well, I really don't know why, because the systems keep crashing all the time whenever everybody loads in at one time to try and sign up. And what that's telling us was that there was a need for practicum. So we're also looking at reasonable costs, small classes, and high interaction with the instructors. So that's kind of the, I don't know, minute and a half, 2 minutes summary of what we're about. We have 3 courses. Lisa will be teaching one on land, Mary will be teaching one on Irish, and I'll be teaching one on broad context, one of the genealogical standards books item that is part of the requirement for all of the elements of
Mm-hmm.
the portfolio. So I'll be talking about that. So that's the 3 that we have for this time. We anticipate doing this twice a year. We'll see how it goes.
Great. I was looking for my standards book. It's here somewhere. I just can't reach it at the moment, so I can say this is what she's doing.
Well, I can show it. It's bullet number 12, page 12.
Bullet number 12, page 12.
There it is.
There you go.
Got it.
There.
Lisa's got it. Thank you, Lisa.
She gets the prize for having it within the closest.
Exactly. I know where it is. I can't. I would have to completely get out of my chair to grab it.
Well, and if I grab mine, all you'd see is my armpit. So
yeah. So yeah. We got to worry about things like that when we're on Zoom. Laura says she's got a question.
Yes. So what genealogy or family history expertise is your target audience? Is this the intermediate, advanced, people just starting out? What level of student are you expecting?
Well, we are focusing this on the advanced intermediate and advanced student. So we're looking for, and those exercises will reflect that. We're anticipating that there will be homework done between the courses, between the classes. Each session, each course will be composed of 4 classes that will be held once a week for 3 hours or so, 2.5 to 3 hours. And then we'll meet again the next week after they've done an assignment, and we'll have more to talk about then as the students gain skills by doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what exactly is it? How do you define applied genealogy versus any other type of genealogy?
Well, we've thought hard about that name, Laura. That's another good question. And I don't want to be the only person who answers a question here either. But the word applied, we started out thinking about practicums, and practicums are applied learning.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to be focused on the issue of this is practicum-based learning. Then the genealogy was important, and the idea of an institute was that there was a number of classes you were going to attend. We're not the full amount of hours that you get in a 5-day in-person kind of an institute, but we're really close to the same number of hours. We're really close to the same number of hours at about 2/3 of the price. So we're really cutting the price out. We really felt it was necessary to reach out to individuals who could not do an in-person institute.
Mm-hmm.
Just could not. We have, younger people with families that it's just not possible to do that. There's a number of registrations, for example, that occur on Saturday. Orthodox Jews can't even register for the course. The physically handicapped have trouble because they just don't, they're just not sure about how this can all work. And then the cost alone, when you have to add in everything else. Now we realize that a lot of the institutes will go hybrid, but it'll be very interesting to see how that looks. But a number have already announced that they're not going to do hybrid and they're going to do in-person only.
Mm-hmm.
So we do feel that we're still reaching a niche.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that is very important to me is when you do an institute, an in-person one, or even what the in-person ones have done in their online format, is 5 straight days. And, after 2 days, 8 sessions of something, I mean, this is full. And trying to cram anything more by Friday, I'm like, and really can't learn. And I mean, I'm amazed that there are people who took one institute 2 weeks ago, another one last week, and are in a 3rd one this week.
Yeah, I did that last summer. I just couldn't do it again.
You just can't learn. So ours are, about 3 hours once a week. So you have time to process what you learned. And then with the cases that we will be giving the students, you have time to actually apply some of those things. Students are going to be looking for records. They're going to take what they learned in the class and their regular genealogy skills. I mean, I really, I'll be teaching Irish, and the fan club principle, I don't think you can do Irish genealogy without a fan club. And it might not be a fan club you have ever even heard of, but you will discover that fan club and be able to solve these problems. So I think the application, the chance to practice these skills and have the time to process what you're learning is crucial.
Shelley, you said you've got a comment and a question.
You had Melissa next. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Melissa. I'm sorry, Melissa.
It's okay.
Thank you,
You
Shelley.
get Melissa all the time.
Poor
I love her.
Melissa.
She knows I love her.
I first of all, I want to applaud you all for virtual because in 2015, when I started the Archive Lady, one of the reasons why I did, well, many reasons, but one of the reasons is I mainly speak virtually. I don't get to travel because I work full time as an archivist.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't get to do that traveling. And so I think before the curve of COVID and everything, that I was already virtual all the way. So I applaud you for that, because just like Jill said, there are so many classes of people that cannot travel or they cannot go to the in-person. So that I give you applaud for that. Next, one of my mantras is if you're not learning, you're not living, because I am a huge proponent of education and self-education. So I think this is great. My question is, of course, I'm all about archives. So how are you, because I'm hearing you saying this is going to be an applied, it's going to be more like a doing. So how are you going to teach your students about the wonders and fantastic records that are in archives if you're all virtual?
Well, I'll start out for my class. It's actually fairly simple. It's fairly simple because the discovery of broad context requires you to look not only at, well, you're not looking at a person. You're looking at the geography, you're looking at historical events, you're looking at social mores, you're looking at naming practices. I mean, you're looking at everything that doesn't name a person. And those kinds of records are often found in archives. So I'm to the extent that it is possible, and based on the student's ability to access things, and that varies across the country. So we can't really dictate that they go to this archive because you know, they don't have that choice. And we're still shut down here in Washington. So we can make a request, but 3 weeks later we might get a response. So we still have to kind of battle some of those kinds of things here, at least this fall. Maybe not later, but this fall we do. But certainly accessing academic libraries, their databases are critical to what I'll be teaching. And in fact, I've already written one of the class assignments, I think it's the first one, I'm not sure. I'm actually dictating that they have to go find something in JSTOR, they have to go find something in Archive Grid. They've got to find some things that come to their topics. I taught a course about a year ago, and I didn't dictate what they had to go find, and I got a whole bunch of the same things. So I learned.
One of my passions is teaching genealogists things like manuscript collections, and not just to go find something in a manuscript collection. I mean, learn how to read a finding aid, learn how manuscript collections are put together. And so one of the things I find lacking in a lot of institutes is that, like you just said, Jill, no, you can't tell them to go to, to this, if it's their ancestor or whatever ancestor you're talking, the case study you're doing, but you can tell genealogists, hey, go to the local university archive, talk to the archivist, ask them to show you a finding aid, ask them to show you how they put together a manuscript collections, take a tour of the facility, look at those back rooms that none of that stuff's online. Of course, I know I need to get off my soapbox, but
I think that works really well with my curriculum, and I'm already starting to think about how to change it. So
that's just my passion, and everybody knows it. But I just think I want to tear the curtain down and let people see what is really see what's behind me. This is what's in archives. This is not online. This is not digitized. It's not on microfilm. But it's there, and it's there for genealogists to discover. So I'm going to shut up now.
Well, and even with some of what I'm going to be teaching, I mean, most of the records, just because of where people are going to wind up being online records that they will use to solve the cases. And that's just not all of us can go to Ireland at the same time, but I do have the Griffiths valuation books as they've been updated and examples of those, and see if you get to go to an archive, you get to see these.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And then with land, I certainly could have people go to their local
Yes.
county recorder's office or clerk's office or wherever their land deeds are located, and go through the process of touching them.
Oh,
And-
yes, yes.
If they're allowed to.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
all places let you.
yeah.
My county, they're digitized, so you have
Yeah.
to look on them on the computer, but it's still that same process of, not all deeds are online either. That you,
Exactly.
even Family Search has so many counties that have been digitized, but they stopped at about 1905.
Yeah.
So if you want something, you found all their
Mhm.
purchases, but you want to find out when they sold them, you're gonna have to go contact the actual recorder's office
Mhm.
Yes.
and get the deeds that way. So
And adding that into your curriculum and giving that as homework really helps, because I know that when I first started out, I was so intimidated. Oh my gosh, I've got to go to, what do I do if I go to an archive? And I think a lot of people feel that way, and they
Yes.
feel more comfortable getting stuff online. But once you get there and you realize, oh my gosh, this is not scary. This is not,
Yes.
they will help you. You will learn, and you will learn quickly how wonderful these records are. So I think sometimes we just need to kick people out of their comfort zones
Yeah.
by giving them that homework. So I think that's a wonderful thing to do. I know with classes that I've taught, that I give people homework, and I'll say, you don't have to do this homework. I can't make you do this homework, but you're not going to learn anything unless you do the homework. And so I found that those students who learned something at the end and came back and said, oh my gosh, I learned how to do this, this, and this, is because they actually, instead of just listening and going, okay, they made the efforts to get out there and do the homework. So,
And they don't have to get it right.
oh
There's
no,
right. They don't have
No.
to, they just have to give it a try.
yeah, it's
And
experience.
so that alone will push them
Yeah.
an incremental piece. And never really know where the baseline is for everybody, and it's all different.
Exactly.
But
That's
you
right.
just want some sort of incremental learning.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
some will
absolutely.
take a big leap and others will take a small leap.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
learning is learning. Learning is learning. And I know I've been in some classes where the instructor has said, did everybody get all the answers right? And you've always got those people who go, yeah, I got it all right. And the instructor said, then you didn't learn anything.
There you go.
right.
And I thought that's a wonderful comment. Shelley.
Yes. Well, first, I'm excited that, I love it. Well, and I'm affiliated with the Maggie Institute, which is on the same premise of the small classroom. And I'm a college professor. So the small classroom makes a huge difference because I've been teaching adult learners for years. And matter of fact, I just designed for the museum down there by Miss Cheri, something about the generational learning styles, and for people presenting and stuff like that to be, I'll be glad to share it with you. Just send it over, y'all can have at it, but, and do what you want to do with it, but it comes from the prepping for being an adjunct professor and this, that, and the other, and then I threw into other stuff. But anyway, I think it's so important, and this is why we started Maggie, and we're hitting 10 years next year, is because we also saw that void. And it wasn't just because of African American, it was because you have whites and blacks and whoever are not tapping into these other resources. And it's almost like, well, then you're going to miss a few years. You're going to miss some of your own people. And it doesn't matter if there's a race or something, but those were not offered, at some of the other institutes, or every couple of years they tap into it, where we had so many questions from presentations and attending institutes ourselves. We thought it was critical. But our biggest thing was to pride ourselves on the small classroom, and people don't like that until they experience it. So like even for mine, methods and strategies, on one, it was always cut off at 15. That is a shock in the genealogy world to have only go to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and there's only 15 in the class, but it was all hands-on, you know, type thing. But one of the things I was going to give you feedback is we just finished, Maggie, a couple of weeks ago, and this was our second time having to do it virtual because of COVID, right? And we got the strangest feedback about wanting to do more. It was almost 50-50. We want to go to Fort Wayne because we know we can research, which is what they did. They'd run upstairs, they'd have their assignments and whatever, and were able to pull things. But it was so interesting that we saw this whole wave of, we loved it being virtual. We saved money. We didn't have to, you know, everything you were saying, but we didn't expect that. We thought it was going to come back and they wanted to go right back to Fort Wayne, and the Go Local is our theme. And you guys just explained that. And so we pushed the Go Local libraries, historical societies, and all that kind of stuff in the universities. So I am so glad to hear this. And because you know what, this is the next level for folks, because when you responded to Laura and you talked about the intermediate and advanced, because I'm going to tell you, I don't believe there's anybody out there addressing that. They can call it whatever they want to call it, but that next level or one step deeper and the hands-on, it's not happening. And I went through GRIP, Maggie, and was going to sign up for another GRIP and just said, nope, I'm done. It was back to back, and I did too. That was enough because I still work a full-time job.
I agree with you, Shelley. I agree with you, Shelley. I think this is going to
I couldn't do it.
This is going to reach a group of people, like Melissa said too, that just have not been able to go to institutes.
They're not going to be able to go.
You know, they can't leave their jobs for that long. They can't afford it. But this way they're getting the education that they need, that they're yearning for and haven't been able to get. Laura, you said you had a comment?
Yes. And actually, I have a comment on what you just said. I mean, I think Mary's point on getting your brain full is
I was just going to say that.
really true.
Overload.
You go to a 3-day conference and your brain is, I go to an art museum and my brain, I am very easily saturated. But back to the conversation about the, you know, using the local archives. I really like the fact that you're doing, you know, trying to be creative and use your, you know, because I live in a place where I have no ancestors. And so I'm not that great at the local archives because I've never had to use them. And the archives I need are all in Virginia. So I think that's a really good idea.
But you can learn processes at your local archive.
I know.
You can talk to the archivist about how do we put a manuscript collection together,
And
how, you know, all those things.
That's what I'm saying. I really like that because you're creating the need to do that. Might not normally have that need. And Shelley, if you want to teach a course on navigating the Library of Virginia, I'd attend.
That would be a great.
Did you say Shelley or did you say you?
Shelley.
Any of you.
It was interesting because one of the new folks that are hired at the Library of Virginia, and she just started like 30 days on the job. And for some reason, we were on Zoom this morning and she wanted to know the outreach, and she's picking up outreach and marketing and stuff because it's her. She's got a specific project and it's the whole Commonwealth and things. And no one's really focused on it per se 100%. It was everybody as they could. Now they have one designated person. So I walked her through what I do for UVA. And as far as the research, I said, hey, I had to hit social media and I had to hit Twitter because I didn't think most of the people were local that I was trying to access.
Exactly.
And so I had to go out.
Teach them how to use it. Dan, you said you had a question?
Yeah, so I remember back several years ago when I was a baby genealogist and just started to get into things. And I was at a lecture that Tom Jones gave, and he encouraged everyone to go to an institute. And then I looked at the website for GRIP because that was the closest one to me here in Michigan that I could find. and I was super intimidated because it just seemed like so much, right? So,
Yeah.
so what would you say to sort of those newly intermediate genealogists that are just kind of, they've done some stuff, they're thinking about an institute, but they look and they're like, oh, I don't know, this is kind of intimidating. I'm going to have to apply stuff. I'm going to be, you know, maybe asked to share things in front of other people, and that can be really nerve-wracking for a lot of people. So what would you say to that group of people to either hopefully calm their nerves and get them to sign up, or maybe this isn't the thing for them, and you're like, that's not who we're looking for, and be gone, thou foul one, or whatever you want to do. So what would you say to that group of sort of maybe hesitant signer-uppers?
I think you probably get 3 different opinions from each one of us.
Well, let's hear you.
Let's do it round robin. What are y'all's opinion?
Right, let's go. This sounds
well,
juicy.
I think that's a real concern. I think just going to an institute, an in-person one, just going to one requires a big leap of faith, because it's 5 days. And if you're sitting there going, and I get 2 weeks vacation and I'm going to spend one of them doing this, and my family gets screwed for the other, you know, the other week. I mean, it's difficult to make that kind of a choice. So, and I know I was intimidated, but I have to admit that, of course, I thought I was an advanced researcher when I first signed up for my first institute with advanced methodologies with Tom Jones. And I walked out an advanced beginner. You know, I mean, he's just so humbling in all of that. But then I also, the next year when I went, I did find I really enjoyed them in person. I really enjoyed them, but the next time I went, I couldn't understand why my roommate had absolutely no homework. And I'm sitting there going, how can you do 5 days and not have any sort of homework? So it just seemed to me that the homework was critical in all of this.
Hands-on, yeah.
To the person who is intimidated, I think we offer a couple of things. One is the smaller class puts it in the realm of possibilities. The lower price puts it in, they're not investing so much money. They're not investing $1,500 or $1,800 to go. They're investing a smaller amount of money to kind of put their toe in the water kind of thing. But those who know the expertise of both Lisa and Mary about the Irish and land records, they are going to know that these two are quality instructors. And they're going to deliver a quality product. So it's you get the good without having to make too large of a commitment with the program that we're sponsoring.
Right.
And I do appreciate how Maggie has kind of forged the way for many of the kinds of things that are going to be offered. But I do firmly believe that even if the in-person predominates in the future, that the virtual environment will be warmly received by the genealogical community.
Absolutely.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I do too.
Lisa, do you have an answer to Dan's question? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm thinking that because the classes are small, it's easier to get to know each other. I remember my very first institute at SLIG, and I knew no one. And I sat there and I never got to know anyone. I'm sort of an introvert. And I think it'll be much easier to get to know each other. And we're going to have opportunity to go into breakout rooms and do activities together. I think they'll have a lot more fun while they're learning.
Great, Mary.
Then they have an experience.
Yeah.
And they remember a little more because they had to put their hands on it.
Yeah.
And I think
Well,
that's what's critical. Even if you want to call it homework or assignment,
Yeah.
whatever it is to dress it up. But when they have to do something, I think it benefits, them.
Right.
I will have in-class exercises to show, you go find this record. I've shown you what they look like. Here's a little bit of information, and I know this record's out there, so you can dive into these records and find it. So you get a chance to actually practice with using the resources. And then the cases that I have are actual client research, and they were really fun. But you really have to kind of apply all your genealogical experiences. This is mine are in an Irish realm, but you will be doing a lot of stateside research before you can get to Ireland. But you will then hopefully get to Ireland and see those records. And when I say get to Ireland, I mean virtually for purposes of this class. We all want to get to Ireland, but for this class, it'll just be get.
Just not promising you a free trip.
But it's just they're really fun. And even if you don't solve it, I mean, you'll be able to see, okay, this is where I missed the mark, or I didn't make the turn I was supposed to make, or missed that bit of information.
That's okay too. Yeah, that's okay too. We all do that.
That's really where you learn.
Yeah, exactly.
I took a BCG Education Fund class this year. Tom Jones taught it in the spring. And we had cases before, and man, it was so much fun. And I mean, that was part of really what spoke to me about the way we're structuring our program. And I think what we set out to do, it's like, I want more of this. I mean, I would just pay just for Tom Jones to give me a class to solve, or a case to solve. I mean,
just give me a case to solve.
It's so fun.
That's funny. Melissa, you had another question?
Just one thing first towards what you are talking about the virtual aspect of what it's going to do for your students. I think the fact that they're going to do this at home in their comfort zone instead of at a strange hotel, in a strange classroom, in a whatever, I think that's going to speak volumes. But my question is, and I don't know if y'all answered or not, but what was the moment in time when this idea came to being?
Yes.
All right, who's light
tell
went
what you
off?
want.
I want to know the answer to that one too,
Right.
Melissa.
I know.
I see Mary up there.
Jill, she, I don't know, she and I were talking about Irish research, and that she was looking for a class or whatever. And I said, just do it a DIY institute. Just get on Legacy and watch the webinars and do a DIY institute. And so that's kind of was the little germ of this thing. Yeah. And we thought, we can do this. We can teach these things and do it in an affordable way. The convenience of being able to do it virtually, and the practical based thing. So it's better than just sitting there and watching a whole string of webinars, because you'll get the feedback,
right? And
a directed thing to be able to apply the learning to actual research problems.
And I think it was the crashing of the website that really showed the demand that was out there for virtual classes, because every single one of the institutes all had registration crashes.
Yep, they did.
Not Maggie. Not Maggie. And I know, and now you're making me nervous. We have not had one, and we're at about 80% for 2022.
You're already
pre-registers, but no crashes.
Well, that's because you don't have this day at 8:00 a.m. where everyone has to sign up at the same time.
And I've tried that and been on wait lists. And no, that's like Southwest Airlines.
One of the ways I know,
wait till that time,
the last time, and then they want to get in. Well, I was going to say, one of the ways I know that this is going to be successful is because I did the same thing where you're talking about being intimidated. And I've taken a lot of institute classes, but there were a couple of them that I was intimidated because I felt like all my insecurities, all my dumbness is going to show when I take these particular classes. So I took advantage, and that's why last summer it was boom, boom. I was taking all these classes because I thought, that way I don't have to take them in person.
Well, right now we've got so much
and they asked
available.
They want people to raise their hands, and they might call on you. And what if somebody called on me? know the answer. So I don't do that really in virtual. Well, I haven't in the ones I've taken. So I really do think this is going to help people to get over that, get over that. So we got the people that are, intimidated like me for some classes, the people who can't go anywhere, they can't make it, people who don't like the format, of 5-day. I love all of it. I want to be there in person. I want to take the virtual ones, all of those things. So I love that this is fitting a niche for people that need this. Laura said, do you have another question?
Yeah, I was just listening to Mary and thinking about Mary. So I've heard people say SLIG and GRIP are fun, but that part is because they see their friends. I've never really, the classes are interesting. And I'm directing this at Mary, Lisa, and Jill because I know her better. You do have so much fun with genealogy, and like you're the one that watches a TV show and sees something that's not solved to your satisfaction. Are you going to be able to teach that passion?
That's such a good question, Laura.
Laura, perfect. She's got this. She's got it. She has it. I am telling you.
To me, that would be such a huge gift to have an institute, which is as quality education as other institutes, but at the same time, to give this gift of, it's not, we're all this, it's, here's the world. You can have it.
I do genealogy because it's fun.
Yes.
I mean, there's, the ancestors are important. They're definitely important. But I research complete strangers that are not my ancestors.
Yes, she does.
Because it's so interesting.
Jill and Lisa, when we cover the genealogy TV shows, we can always count on Mary to say, I stopped and paused it, and I and that's not right, and I don't know how they found this, but I found this. She does it every time, and it's so much fun.
It is.
So that, hence Laura's question is, how are you going to be able to not do their research?
Mary's got it, hands down.
No,
hands down.
I do think that's what you can bring to the table, Mary.
Exactly.
The absolute,
a bit related to that was a conversation that I had with a very well-known instructor at all of the institutes. And the expression that that person stated was that there's a concern at the institute level that they're just hiring the same instructors over and over again. And the other thing that I think that we're trying to do, and this is more on the administrative side and not necessarily something that the students would see, is that the instructors get paid almost nothing for doing those large institutes. Almost nothing. It's a crime. And so what we've tried to do is structure a payback system to the instructors that's much more favorable. It's still not going to recompensate for all of the hours that go in, but it's not $50 a head either. And so
but they got to have the passion too.
Yeah,
they got to have the same grit that you three have as, I'm going to say, as the leaders, the executive team, whatever. We call ourselves coordinators. Your instructors that you have forth got to have that same drive. And want to do the same thing what your mission is, and stuff. And the money doesn't matter at that point when they're getting just as much out of it.
Not from the not from the student aspect. I agree completely. We don't want to. We want to at least do some fair compensation.
Absolutely.
For the instructors as well. So we know that FGS did a whole lot better on compensation for instructors, but FGS isn't around anymore. So, we're just trying to figure out what's the best model. And kind of as an aside, and certainly not something we're thinking about right now because we're just trying to get the fall classes open, is that we'll be looking for instructors in the future. And you're right, Shelley, we're going to be looking for people who have a passion about what they're teaching. And so, and I hope that some of the passion that I have for the CDG course carries over. I can't imagine that it won't.
Yes.
So that kind of excitement about the certification discussion group is as important as what I'll be teaching in the fall.
For
Sure.
me, I've been trying to, this is kind of also to Laura's question.
Mhm.
As I've been preparing the materials, I have Irish ancestors, most of them left by, at the latest, 1855. But I'm going to be teaching about a lot newer records. So I had to find examples to
Mhm.
use in those records. And so I've dug into historical Irish figures, some of the revolutionaries, and
fun.
finding their records. And I am learning so much about Irish history in preparing this class that it's been, I mean, I'm excited about teaching it, but seriously, what I have learned just preparing to teach
Yeah.
is so much for me that I consider it a win, even if I didn't get to teach because of all I've learned.
So I have a question for Lisa. Don't you teach Quaker?
No,
Who? Well, I'm
Annette teaches.
I'm throwing that out there.
It's Annette Little, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and that little.
Yeah, she's the one
Yes.
that teaches Quaker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm throwing that out there. Because
She
if
needs-
you're
apparently
going to throw
Shelley
my
wants to-
Irish people, you got to bring my Quakers in there as well. You know, and I'm going to share a new website that I just got wind of from this big, and it's a lot to do with the Irish and Scots, and I had never seen it before.
Wow.
You probably have, but I'm going to stick it in the chat.
Thank
and,
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, it's a really, for me, it was brand new and stuff, and searching the Quaker and Irish, you know, everybody coming over and stuff like that.
Laura would like to know, okay, we know the website. We're going to have
Do you
links to
guys
the
have a website already?
Yeah. Yes, they've got a
Have that
website.
website and all that information.
Mhm. So we'll make sure it gets out there. So have you established costs yet, or that's still in the works?
Each class will be $300. 4 classes, 2 to 3 hours with
Yeah.
with
That's
a
very
practical
affordable.
exercise.
Very
for-
affordable. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And the travel expenses to their kitchen table to do it,
Might have to buy some extra M&Ms, you know. But
Yeah.
other than that, you're
Mine
probably
is
okay.
popcorn. I'm known for
During classes.
popcorn and hot tea.
And you know you'll see clean bathrooms.
Yes.
You
Also,
stop.
I can't take
we
it.
do have to say, no swag. There's no bags. We're not giving anybody their 25th bag that they've got. You know, there's just not going to be.
Come on.
a swag. So if that's a disappointment, if that's why you go to an institute, then you're going to have to pick another one.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, Goodwill's getting a box.
Lots of bags.
I leave mine in the hotel room.
Yeah, some people do. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we really appreciate y'all coming on and telling us
excited.
about this. Is such a wonderful new opportunity for people to learn, to grow their skills. Did anybody have any last minute statements or questions before we say goodbye?
Well, we'd like to make sure that you understand our website is
Mhm.
appgen.institute,
Okay.
appgen.institute, and that we're forming a mailing list that's already got a very hefty number of people on it. We'd like all your names on it as well.
Right.
And that will receive the first announcements for when the window for registration is open. And then when we get to a point where the classes are being held, then we'll open up the class pages. So we have we've already got the website up and running. It's still, it's getting tweaked every day. But nevertheless, we've already got that going, and we will soon have a Facebook page as well. So
Fabulous.
we're getting
Good.
all that sort of thing. But appgen.institute is our website.
Okay,
Is
and,
that
we'll have,
.org?
and we will have the link on the blog post and the YouTube
Okay, great.
So
as well.
at Institute.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said APP, right?
AppGen.
Yeah.
I'm spelling out genealogy. That's my problem.
No.
Yeah, it's Jen.
We tried to make it short.
Yeah. Yes, fabulous. Ladies, thank you so much for coming and telling us. I'm very excited for this little, that, and that's what happens. We see an area that needs to be filled, and you guys have done a great job with that. I think it's going to be a roaring success. I really do think that you are really, really going to fill, like you said, the niche of so many people for so many reasons. And for those of us that like to do it virtually and in person, all of us, it's good for everybody, no matter, how you like to learn. It's just another learning opportunity out there that you're giving people choices. And I appreciate and applaud you, like others on the panel have done, for seeing that hole and filling it. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here. And I hope that your inbox is flooded with people wanting to be on the your email list, and hope that when registration comes, your classes are fill up quickly. And so thank you again. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for watching, and get on that website and learn more about it and get registered when the time comes, and have fun learning and growing your genealogy skills in a way you can do it right from home. So with that, we'd like to say goodbye to everybody, and we will see you next time on GenFriends. Bye, everybody.
Bye.